Hey, HannahMouse1 here. In this video, I want to compare Vi from League of Legends Arcane to Galadriel from Lord of the Rings of Power. It's funny, Vi is one of the best written characters I've ever seen and Galadriel is one of the worst. So why am I comparing them? Because the more I thought about it, the more parallels I found between these two characters, and I was shocked at how similar they actually are. I think Vi is what the Rings of Power writers were aiming for with Galadriel, and I think this could be a pretty insightful comparison into writing a strong female warrior character correctly, as with Vi, or incorrectly, as with Galadriel. We are going to talk about character setup, their role as a leader, their first fight, the character motivation, their attitude towards authority, and their moments of vulnerability. Part 1. Character setup. Arcane opens on Vi, walking through the aftermath of a battle with her younger sister, Powder. She discovers that her parents are dead and breaks down into tears, and as Vander carries her to safety, she looks up at the city of Piltover with fury and vengeance in her eyes. Galadriel is presented in much the same way. Skipping over all the backstory with her brother's nonsensical buoyancy analogies, we see Galadriel on a war-torn battlefield and we get to see her looking at the corpse of her brother. Instantly, Vi comes across as infinitely more human than Galadriel. Where Vi is devastated and sobbing, Galadriel is stone-faced with a few tears that do nothing to sell her emotion, and Morfydd Clark's performance doesn't help. I don't know if this was a directorial issue or an actor issue, probably some combination of the two, but I got absolutely zero emotion out of her in most of the show, and it really shows in this scene. And it's made even worse in hindsight because we learn in episode 7 that, to the best of her knowledge, Galadriel's husband Celeborn also died in this same war, and she doesn't even care enough to bother mentioning this at this point. Facial expression is one thing that Rings of Power should absolutely have over Arcane, considering that they have actual humans playing the characters, and yet they are forced to resort to expository voiceover to convey what Arcane did with a single look from Vi. And there, in the darkness, his vow became mine. Hats off, Fortiche. Hats off. Facial expression is incredibly difficult to animate convincingly, and you knocked it out of the park. They say a picture says 1,000 words, and your opening illustrates that perfectly. And this is so important for establishing these characters. Without hearing a single word out of her mouth, we see so much inner strength from Vi. To be so broken down only to pick herself back up, but I felt nothing for Galadriel, because she didn't seem to feel anything. It's honestly shocking how two introductions that are so similar can have such different levels of quality and execution. 2. Their role as a leader. We then skip ahead a few years, in Arcane's case a few centuries in Rings of Powers. Vi and Galadriel are both leading dangerous expeditions, disobeying authority figures in doing so, and both involving climbing up something, be it the side of a building or a wall of ice. Again, Vi comes across instantly as more compelling than Galadriel, and she comes across as such a good leader by comparison. They try and make Galadriel look cool by having her get far ahead of the other party members, but this really falls flat. If she was a good leader, she would be with her team, helping them climb the wall, being on hand if one of them got into trouble. She wouldn't be showing off by running ahead. Vi, on the other hand, is with the team, shouting words of encouragement. She still comes across as more competent than the rest of her team, but she actually comes across as really likable. And this rings true when each leader is confronted with a member of the party falling behind. In Arcane, this is Powder, who is too afraid to make the jump across the rooftop. Vi shows perfect leadership in assessing the situation and making a logical decision. She knows Powder well enough to know that she can make the jump if she gets past the mental block. She also knows that one of the most important things to Powder is the desire to be a contributing member of the group. The other members of the party, especially Milo, already express a lack of faith in Powder, and Vi knows that if it seems like Powder needs a babysitter, it will only be another knock to Powder's reputation and her self-esteem both. You could also argue that part of the decision was to defend her own reputation. Milo just said, "This is on you, Vi." If Powder can't keep up, then it's on Vi for bringing her in the first place. So it's in Vi's best interest to have Powder make the jump alone. Part of that could come down to Vi's pride. Vi is a prideful character, especially early in her arc, and she cares deeply about and seeks respect. One day, this city's gonna respect us. But it's not a selfish or self-serving motivation entirely. It's very important for everyone to keep trusting in her leadership. This is a lesson that Galadriel learns the hard way when the rest of her party mutiny against her. And Vi wouldn't have asked Powder if she didn't genuinely think that Powder could make the jump. It's just that given all the available information and weighing up the possibilities, Vi made the best decision she could. She also shows situational awareness in how swiftly and smoothly she catches Powder. There's no hesitation or doubt, she knows exactly what's happening and reacts accordingly. Compare this to Galadriel's reaction to a party member falling over in the storm. Bear in mind that, before this, a member of the party suggested that they go back, make camp, do anything other than relentlessly push forward into the night. Galadriel ignored all of this, even though making camp would have made sense. It's not like they're fighting a ticking time bomb here. They've been searching for centuries and they're not even sure that they're in the right place. So waiting an extra night probably wouldn't have affected much, but they pushed on and a guy at the back fell to the ground. Initially, when called to wait, Galadriel doesn't even look round, simply insisting that they keep moving. She doesn't show any compassion for her team, doesn't check to see if she had all the information. As far as I can tell, she would have quite happily left this poor guy to die in the snow. It's only when the elf who called for her to wait insists that Galadriel stop that Galadriel looks around and gives the fallen elf her cloak. It almost comes across as begrudging. It's not a huge mystery as to why Vi comes across as more compelling here. She's just a nicer person. Most people are going to like watching people who are nice shock horror, but it's also worth noting that this likeable side of Vi doesn't make her seem weak. There's a difference between being likeable and being a pushover after all, and Vi is still in charge. You don't need a character to be callous and cold to make them seem powerful. Part 3. Their first fight. For each character, the first fight we see comes right after they complete their escapade. For Vi and her crew, it's against Deckard and co. For Galadriel, it's against a snow troll. What I love about the Arcane fight is how well Vi's flaws are displayed, and that she had flaws at all is a great start. Her flaws only make her inner strength shine more. Vi is culpable in starting the fight. Her options were to hand over a taste of the treasure or punch her way out, and she chose the violent option. And yes, part of it was just because Deckard had them surrounded and they'd done too much to warrant sacrificing the treasure, but once again, part of it was pride. She got riled up the second that Deckard asserted that those were his streets. Her willingness to resort to violence is both Vi's biggest strength and flaw throughout the series. Once the fight kicks off, we see Vi demonstrate awareness of the other party members by throwing Powder the bag. She knows that Powder's not going to fight, so she gives her a different role. I love how each member of the team gets moments of success and failure, including Vi. She gets punched right in the face at one point, and by the end of the fight, while she does come out on top, she's a mess. She's covered in blood and dirt, and she isn't flawless in the way that a lot of female heroes are presented. She's a good fighter, sure, but she's not perfect. Her terrible defense is a flaw we see over and over throughout the series. I see you've never learned patience. You still block with your face. Your guard needs work, and this gives Vi something to work towards and overcome. There's a reason that she ultimately defeats Savika with a shield, and she does ultimately bail Milo out of a tight spot, but it doesn't mean that Milo is utterly incompetent. He does get a few decent punches in. He just happens to be the weakest fighter present, which is in line with his character. Compare this to the fight between Galadriel and the Snow Troll. Right off, Galadriel isn't even present for the start of the fight. It's one of her subordinates who disturbs the troll, and she just has to clean up their mess. When Galadriel does show up, she stands watching for a full 16 seconds before getting involved. And it's not like she could have thought that maybe the guys could handle it without her and that she only got involved when necessary. No, these guys were getting flattened. So either she's so stupid that she can't figure out what's happening, not that she looks confused, or she enjoys watching these people get hurt. When she does decide to get involved, she single-handedly destroys the troll, proving that she's more competent than a dozen, I would presume, trained soldiers, and she does look absolutely flawless while doing it. Her hair's hardly even messed up. What the writers of Rings of Power seem to miss is that there's little enjoyment in seeing a character win a fight that they knew they'd win getting into it. When Vi took on Deckard, it was an even fight. She didn't know that she would win. Deckard could have knocked her out with that first punch and they would have been screwed, which makes Vi seem so much braver. I know that the MCU gets a lot of stick for each film's enemy basically being the same as the hero, but there's a reason for that. The more evenly matched the opponents are, the more satisfactory the victory is. Part 4. The character motivation. A character's motivation is super important in making a character compelling. Vi tells Vander that I grew up knowing that I'm less than them, that my place is down there. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it. This is a powerful motivation that shows that Vi isn't entirely motivated through the desire to get revenge for her parents' deaths. Vengeance is an inherently anti-heroic arc and could easily make a character seem selfish, bitter, or toxic. Instead, Vi has taken the mantle and is fighting for the brighter future for her sister that her parents would have been fighting for, showing a desire to protect the one biological family member she has left. It's powerful, layered, and compelling, but there's also flaws in it which Vanda is quick to point out. A character's motivation doesn't have to be watertight, it just needs to be logical from this perspective of the character. So what's Galadriel's motivation? Well, take this interaction between Galadriel and Halbrand. Then what is it? Why do you keep fighting? You are asking me to go to the one place that I swore never to return. The least you can do is tell me why. Why do you keep fighting? Because I cannot stop. Okay, but why though? Galadriel has just denied that she fights out of vengeance. You can't satisfy thirst by drinking seawater and all that. But then what is it? Because as far as I can tell, the darkness inside of her that she keeps going on about is born of grief for her brother, and the motivation born of that seems to be vengeance, which might contribute to Galadriel's overtly selfish personality, although it's a very small part of that. Here's some advice. If your character's motivation can be applied to almost any other character in any work, then it's not specific enough. It's simple as that. Part 5. Attitudes towards authority. Both characters are confronted with authority figures that they need to get something out of to achieve their goals. For Vi, this is the Council, and for Galadriel, it's the Númenóreans. And for reference, Vi has infinitely more reason to despise the Council than Galadriel does the Númenóreans. Galadriel doesn't even know what happened between the elves and the Númenóreans, and yet Vi has the good sense to keep her emotions in check and her mouth shut, knowing that angering these people would be incredibly counterproductive. It's only when they seem like they're going to walk away empty-handed that she rises to anger, and even then it comes across as a plea for the Council to come to reason. This is insane. Did you learn nothing? You can't talk to him. He hates you. Everything you stand for, he will never back down. Enforcers, please escort them out. Forget it. I remember where your fancy damn door is. This burst of anger feels like it's been building and building and reached a breaking point. It feels reasonable, logical, and proportional to the situation. Compare that to Galadriel, who seems absolutely hell-bent on starting a fight. The Númenóreans are a bit cold, but are being diplomatic. But Galadriel is instantly cold and aggressive, asserting her superiority over them, being an elf. It's because of the elves that you were given this island. Surely you can spare a few planks and a rudder. And she then goes on to threaten the Númenóreans. If blood be the price of passage, I will pay it. Regardless of whether or not Galadriel believes these things, the main problem is that it makes Galadriel seem completely stupid. It's not a huge leap in logic to reason that people are more likely to help you if you're nice to them. Again, it comes across as the writers trying to make Galadriel seem strong and empowered, that she has to walk over everyone because she's just so powerful. But it just makes her seem dense. It would make more sense if, like Vi, we saw Galadriel pushed and pushed until she snapped, but all the Númenóreans seemed to do was not instantly bend over. Part 6. Moments of vulnerability. Finally, let's see how the characters react when things go wrong. For Vi, this comes in episode 3 after Powder blew up the building, killing Milo and Clagger and leaving Violet trapped under the rubble. Vi is sobbing in this scene, and she looks upon the bodies of her adopted family as Vanda goes to put his own life on the line, as she knows that Deckard could kill her at any second. Then she sees the monkey bomb head, and it hits her that Powder followed them after all, that Powder was killed in the explosion as well. The grief piles on, and all she can do is cry and struggle to get to safety. Once Vanda dies, she feels completely alone and screams from the grief of it, only for her to be proven wrong in the worst possible way. Powder's alive, and it was all Powder's fault. And this sends Vi into freefall. She resorts to the one thing that she truly knows, and that's physical violence. Her hitting her sister cannot be excused, but my god, can it be understood. And Vi instantly regrets it, showing that no matter how lost or angry she gets, that compassion is still inside of her, and she's terrified of hurting the one person she still has any further, so she forces herself to walk away. This is Vi at her most vulnerable, and notably, she is portrayed as having a moment of vulnerability. This makes her character going forward infinitely more compelling, because not only does she have even more to fight for, now she has the personal internal motivation of her need to redeem herself from her actions actions here. It's truly masterfully done. Compare this to Galadriel after the eruption of Mount Doom. Notably, no one important died, which is stupid. Mount Doom should have Pompeyed the lot of them. And no, Isildur's death doesn't count because he's in Lord of the Rings, so can't actually be dead. Granted, Galadriel doesn't particularly care about any of them, so it doesn't really apply. I mean, she doesn't even try and find Halbrand, and he's the only one she's shown any emotional connection with. But given everything that's happened, what does Galadriel do? Does she cry over her failures? Does she try and help the trapped survivors? Does she tend to the wounded? No, she stumbles across Theo, who's desperately searching for his mother, and instead of helping him find Bronwyn, they abandon all the screaming people dying around them and go for a walk. Okay, that's what we're going with? Because this event impacts Galadriel enough for her to declare that it is over, which is a sudden shift in her character, and yet she continues to play it all so apathetically. It doesn't feel like a moment of weakness, especially when she strikes up a conversation with Theo about her, to the best of her knowledge, dead husband. It all comes across so callous, so cold. So let's recap. How do you write a strong female character correctly? 1. Have them show emotion in tragic situations. It makes them so much more powerful when they ultimately pull through. 2. Have them be compassionate, a team player. A character showing off doesn't make us like them or respect them more. We'll respect a character who respects the people around them. 3. Have them have significant flaws that they need to overcome. It gives us reason to invest in them, and they seem stronger and braver if there's a chance they'll lose the fight. 4. Give them a unique, complex, layered motivation that fits with their character. Their motivation should grow and develop and evolve. Have characters with conflicting motivations question them and have new situations build on them. 5. Have them react reasonably when interacting with people they'd rather not. It shows depth to their character and makes them seem intelligent. How far do they need to be pushed before they snap? Make it reasonable and appropriate for the scenario. 6. Give them a point of significant vulnerability. How does your character react when they're at the end of their rope? Have them cry, have them be broken down. It makes them infinitely more compelling when they push through. Thanks for watching. I know this was a very different video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did. It will let me know that this is the sort of thing you want to see more of. And apart from that, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!